Hi, and welcome to Filmmakers Compass Podcast, a show where we talk about movies and, well, more movies. I'm D-Man, joined by CP. And CP, it has not been a great month or so for the movies.
What are you talking about? It's always a great movie month when you're watching movies, D-Man.
I personally had a lot of fun going to the movies. You know, I got to see Back to the Future in the theater, but apparently a lot of other people didn't have a great time.
I know. It's actually been kind of an abysmal month, considering that like 3 months ago, the theaters had an incredible quarter, and apparently that ended very quickly come the month of October.
I know we're gonna get into it, but I guess we'll start things off there only because last week we didn't do a box office breakdown. So, it was one of those things where I think now we're going to go a little bit heavy the other way this week and be talking about the box office specifically. So I'm excited to dive back into that. But as always, before we do, we have some shout outs.
My very
So
favorite segment.
First up, of course, a huge shout out to Caitlin for joining us on the podcast. It's always a great episode when you're on the show, and hopefully we'll have you back on again.
Yay!
I don't know if it always has to be Universal movies, Universal Studio movies, CP, but we can keep that trend going. We could talk about Jurassic Park or ET or something.
Yeah, right.
A big shout out. I don't know if you saw this, but congrats to Alien Earth on getting picked up for season 2.
Yay! I'm super psyched about that. Apparently, Drucker is not, however.
I saw his comment on that and I kind of get what he was talking about, but at the same time, I think the upside was there for Alien Earth, that I really enjoyed it. And the way they left it hanging in the finale makes sense that a season 2 would be on the horizon.
For sure.
So, speaking of Drucker, next up is a shout out to Drucker. So, thank you for always commenting. He said, such a fun episode. This is in reference to Halloween. So, I usually go trick or treating with my family on Halloween, so don't have much time to watch movies. But if I did, I'd probably say my top 5 in no particular order are Nightmare Before Christmas, CP. Interesting. Uh, which he said, which I'm mad neither of you mentioned this one, which we kind of talked about that after because we were like, is that Halloween? Is it Christmas? There's a lot of Halloween imagery. The Invitation, interesting. The OG It, which that makes sense.
Yeah.
And honorable mention to The Grudge. The Grudge gets me every time. Really, he said, F that movie. LOL. So, Drucker. Thank you for your comment. I know The Grudge and The Ring were both from that like early 2000s era of Japanese horror remixes. Yeah, that they like brought over to the States and they did really well. Made a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, pretty impressive. But okay. Next up, we have a shout out for Ivor, who said, this is a continuation of a previous question Dustin asked me. There are too many directors that made 2 good films back to back in the same year. Now, this is a reference to actually CP probably 4 episodes ago, something like that, where I went on that rant about
I remember
how amazing Steven Spielberg is. And Ivor chimes in and he says, my 2 favorites are Mel Brooks, which with Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein, which is awesome.
Ooh, good. Very good.
And he also said Alfred Hitchcock for Rear Window and Dial M for Murder.
2 of Hitchcock's best.
Yeah, no, I mean, those are both incredible back to back. Nothing on Spielberg doing Schindler's List and Jurassic Park. But no, I'm just kidding, Drucker. Those are actually phenomenal. It's actually interesting because you think about Alfred Hitchcock, you could probably span multiple times in his career where 2 movies were both awesome.
Yeah, right.
Like back to back, because he was so incredible in his time. He continues, is it better than Steven Spielberg? I think there is a long back and forth while going through a bottle of bourbon to decide. Sign me up. That sounds fun. And maybe we'll do something like that for the next movie night, before we actually throw the movie on. It's movie/debate night.
Debate night.
So, and also Ivor, he chimed in recently and said, I have not heard either of you 2 mention, and are you ready for this, CP?
Yes.
That Disney is re-releasing in movie theaters and later 4K discs the remastered original Star Wars trilogy. Han shot first. That was
Well,
Ivor.
well, D-Man, I'll give you the first word on this.
I am so excited. Okay, so first of all, if we're just talking about the re-release of the movie in theaters, stunning. I will be there. I hope it's on the biggest screen possible. If it's in 3D, I'll see it in 3D. If it's in regular, I'll see it in regular. I cannot wait. I'm also excited, CP, because the year 2027, which is the 50th anniversary of original Star Wars: A New Hope,
Yep. Yep.
Star Wars convention is coming to Los Angeles, and it's going to be a big celebration of the original Star Wars movie, which of course is my favorite movie of all time. And then we've talked about this many times, CP. 4K disc remastered. I'll buy a freaking Blu-ray player for that.
Well, you probably need to buy a
I'll
4K
I'll cancel Disney Plus. I'll never
disc
watch it
player.
again.
That's all I need. Just one disc. Star
Yep.
Wars trilogy.
Bring it back remastered, and I'm there. So, Ivor, yeah, you're right. I am super stoked. We have to wait about another year, maybe a year and a half max, for this celebration to kick in full. But I can't wait. And if you guys want to do something special, I'm down. So
Who's doing something special?
I don't know. Drucker can fly out here. Ivor can get together. Steph, my wife, can come to the movie marathon. Obviously, you.
Well, I will be there for sure.
So yeah. What are your thoughts, CP?
I mean, okay, the pessimist in me is like, wow, you're literally just doing this to milk for Star Wars for as much money as you can.
It's a
However, this is
celebration. Come
something
on.
that fans have been asking for a long time.
I know.
So
It's
thank
long
you for
overdue.
delivering, and I'm glad that they're putting it out on disc. I think this is a very big deal, very notable, since if you remember, a little over a year ago, Disney announced that they were going to be killing their physical media department. So it's very cool that they are still going to be releasing it. You know, that's what I want. I mean, I love buying physical media.
All right. I just want to hear it on record. Just say thank you, Bob Iger. I love you.
Well, I mean, thank you, Bob Iger. Thank you,
uh
Kathleen Kennedy, for finally getting something right.
yeah, for sure. I mean, just a huge fan of the original trilogy, so very excited that this is happening at all. And then our final shout out, CP, this week goes out, big happy birthday shout out to Christopher. Turned 30 and we got to celebrate with him, so that was a blast. And here's to Dirty 30.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Welcome to another decade. So, all right, CP.
Yeah.
Well, that does it for shout outs. And that means it is now officially time to return us to box office breakdown.
All right. Well, it's time for box office breakdown. And D Man, I am curious to see if you can even name one movie in the top five of the box office right now.
I mean, challenge accepted. Like, my gut's telling me like Black Phone 2 is in the top five, but I could be wrong.
You are right. That is still in there.
Okay, that's probably all I would know.
All right. So, number five is the movie Nuremberg.
Ooh, heard of it, haven't seen it. How did it do?
It has made close to $4 million.
Okay. Interesting. I don't know. I'm not even 100% sure if this is a great movie, something we should all go see. If you have seen it, let us know. I'd be interested because, A-list. I might go check it out.
Number four, the film known as Sarah's Oil. I know nothing about this.
I have never heard of that in my life.
Yeah. And apparently it has made close to $6 million. dollars.
Maybe that's a lot for Sarah's Oil. I
It's
don't.
the remarkable true story of 11-year-old girl Sarah Rector, an African American girl born in Oklahoma Indian Territory in the early 1900s, who believes that there is oil beneath the barren land she lives.
Well,
Okay.
where was the promotion for this?
I don't know.
Because I didn't see anything.
I'm like, I have not even heard anything about it. Amazon, I'm a little disappointed.
All right. Number three. Is this where Black Phone 2 is?
Black Phone 2.
Nailed it. Well, that one thing, but
Now, the worldwide gross on Black Phone 2, almost 122 million.
Black Phone 2 is in the black.
I'm assuming if they spent more than 122 million dollars on that movie, then there is some colossal production sins committed.
Back in black. Oh, I don't know what else to say.
Number
There you go.
two, the film Regretting You.
No, haven't even heard of that
Have
CP.
not even heard of it either. And number one,
Okay, I've
this
probably heard of
movie
this. Have I heard of it?
actually, yes, Ivor
Tron Ares.
messaged us saying that we should see it. Predator Badlands.
Oh, I actually could have predicted that. What the hell was I thinking?
And it's made $88 million so far.
Damn, that's pretty
So
good.
good payday. I don't know about you. So Predators Badlands is kind of fascinating. I remember watching the trailer
Yeah.
and being slightly underwhelmed by it.
Okay.
And the ironic thing is, there were tons of people on the internet that are like, oh my gosh, this is what I always wanted. So, what did you think when you saw the Predator Badlands trailer?
Well, I enjoyed the trailer to the extent that I was like, okay, cool. This looks like sort of a return to form. Like we're just going to see some ass kickery on screen. And maybe that's what it is. I haven't had the chance to see it yet, but my gut tells me I will get to the theaters to see Predator Badlands. But what I've heard is that it is, in fact, pretty badass. It's kind
Yeah.
of everything you'd want in like an action movie. So, I mean, it's kind of a weird release time, but at the same time, 88 million, they're probably flying high right now.
Well, the other cool thing I did hear is this. Apparently, Arnold Schwarzenegger is in talks with the director of Predator Badlands about possibly making an appearance in Predator Badlands 2.
Okay. Well, I guess if it's clearly already greenlit for a sequel, then it must be doing incredibly well. Um, are you going to see Predator Badlands?
It is not on the top of my list, but I will see it.
Yeah, I want to see it. I think it also looks like a big screen movie. It reminds me of like, Godzilla versus Kong or something like, better, bigger, better.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I don't know. Ivor,
I
correct me
mean,
if I'm wrong, but
part of my reluctance is the fact that like the Predator franchise is so bad.
well, what was the other one that came out not too long ago?
The
But
Predators,
no, it was like with the girl. I didn't think it was called
Alien
Predator.
vs Predator,
No,
Prey.
Prey. That's what it
Hmm.
was. Yeah, and that was technically a Predator movie. That was kind of
Hmm.
cool. Kind of liked the I don't know, the nomadic look at like what if you just ran into a predator out in the wild?
Yeah.
It's kind of, I don't know, kind of cool. So I'm assuming this looks like, dude, predators fighting monsters and kaiju and everything that you can imagine. So yeah, I want to check it out.
All right.
Side note on the box office, CP, I also heard Sydney Sweeney just came out in a new movie, and apparently it had one of the worst, if not the all-time worst, opening weekend for a movie showing on 2000 plus screens. I think
Really?
it only made like 1.2 million dollars or something.
Are you talking about what was the name of the movie?
The name of the movie is eluding me at the moment, but I bring it up because while I think Sydney Sweeney is great at garnering attention and headlines, it's not translating into box office receipts because it
Well,
seems like she's been in a bunch of movies and none of them have really made a lot of money at the box office.
no, ironically, if you remember, she came out when a movie called Americana in
It didn't do
August,
anything. Yeah.
and yeah, barely was in theaters at all. So, yeah, that's interesting.
Well, and then I also heard that whatever the movie is now, it's called like Christie, I think, or something. Is that what it's called?
I'm checking. I'm checking. I'm checking.
Yeah, I think it's called Christie. And it interestingly enough,
Christie, yes. And it made $1.3 million dollars.
yeah, there you go, 1.3, which maybe that isn't the lowest. I think I read 1.2, but maybe it ended up making a little bit more. But I heard there was also controversy around that because Sydney Sweeney is playing a lesbian. It's actually a like a nonfiction story going back to somebody from the 90s, Christie. And in a weird way, it's like one of those casting things where there's controversy sort of around like, should a straight person be playing a gay person, or right? You have different race or gender swaps or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
And it's garnering some negative headlines for that. So, and she's got Sydney Sweeney's got like all that sort of, I don't want to call it backlash, but she had that commercial with
Yep. Lucky.
what was it? Levi's jeans, I think,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where she, they had that commercial where she's like, "Oh,
She
I
has
have
good
good
genes.
jeans."
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was weird in a way because like that went totally sideways where people were like, I guess they thought they were talking about like her being white,
Yeah.
which
That's stupid.
pretty nuts. Yeah, it went like a whole Nazi direction,
Yeah.
which was really weird. So, but anyway, now that we're on the topic of the box office and we skipped the box office last week, let's go ahead and talk about it.
All right.
So, thank you for the update on this past weekend and where everybody stands, which is there's quite a few movies on that list, CP, that I don't even really know about or know about from negative headlines, all the way back to October, because it ends up that October was the lowest box office in 3 decades, even with Tron Ares and Black Phone 2.
Yeah.
You have to go all the way back to 1997, which that's with the psychological thriller Kiss the Girls, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and The Devil's Advocate. So October grossed $425 million dollars this year. And that year in 1997, it was 385 million. And that's not even adjusted for inflation.
Yeah. That's true.
So not great. And I also want to at least put the little asterisk there. That doesn't include 2020, where they just weren't showing any movies.
Valid point. Valid point. I mean, it's really interesting when we look at the October box office because I can't really figure out why it didn't hit, right?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, I
So,
know one thing that does stand out to me is that baseball was really exciting. The October Classic this year was insane. And let's just throw it out there. It did uh I mean, we had like 2 or 3 series that went to game 7. It was really, really exciting. I think a lot of people rallied around the Blue Jays, the Dodgers were kind of the evil big machine. But at the same time, here in LA, like everybody's watching Dodgers.
I mean, that's true, but yeah, it's kind of an interesting um month when we specifically look at the 2024 box office. Do you know what the highest grossing film was?
2024.
I mean, I'm sorry, not 2024.
Oh, this year?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I mean, I'd want to say I would hope it would be one battle after another, but I'm like, gonna guess that wasn't the highest grossing.
It was not. It was Tron Ares. Now, when we look at 2024, this is the point I was going to make. Do you know what the highest grossing movie was for last year this time?
October 2024. What was showing? Haunted Mansion? Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
That was number 6.
Damn, really? What was the highest grossing?
The Wild Robot.
Wow, that's
Followed
nuts.
by Venom the Last Dance, and then everybody's favorite Batman movie, Joker, Folie à
Wow, Joker made that much money that it was the third highest grossing movie in a month. That's pretty nuts. Side note,
Well, especially since the fan backlash was so insane, right?
yeah, did I tell you I tried to watch that and just turned it off?
Really?
Yeah, like I literally put it on and I think I went to go like get food and then when I came back I just put on like Friends or something.
That's funny.
I tried. I was like, it reminded me of what was it? The Zack Snyder Rebel. What was it?
Rebel Moon.
Rebel Moon. Tried to watch that and I could just not get into it.
Yeah, like this is not my jam.
I really tried CP with that movie and I just sort of was like, whatever.
So when we look at the October 2025 box office,
Okay.
it's a little different.
Well,
Number
Tron
five,
Ares. Yeah,
well,
okay.
so the fifth movie, top grossing movie for the month was Chainsaw Man the movie.
I kind of like that. That's horror. That's right on brand.
It's a popular anime, right? Like, so I get it. Number four was Taylor Swift, the official release party of a showgirl.
Not gonna lie, that makes perfect sense too.
And I mean, considering that was only a weekend and that made, $35 million, dollars, like good for Taylor Swift. Number three, One Battle After Another, which
Oh,
was actually
nice.
released at the end of September,
Yeah, right.
made
That
about
was
$40 million dollars for the month. Black Phone 2, which made 56 million,
okay.
and Tron Ares, which made 65 million. Now, granted, when we look at this, you know, it is kind of weird in the sense that like I would not think of any of those movies as a screaming success, so I do get it. But when
Yeah.
we look at some of the other movies that were released in October, there were some surprising flops. One
Okay.
being Paramount Pictures film Roofman. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't. I do want to though. I thought it looked interesting.
I did, and it has, some star power behind it, right?
Yeah. Okay.
The Conjuring, which I mean, it didn't.
Wow.
That
That
was
blows my mind.
part of it was released at the beginning of September, which we did mention. Why didn't Warner Brothers wait an extra 2 weeks? Because it made $15 million in the month of October, which
But the
seems like a
thing is,
missed
I feel
opportunity.
like you released that in October, and right now it looks like that slate's wide open. They could have killed it.
So, Good Fortune, which only made 14 million. That was with
Hmm.
Keanu Reeves
Yeah.
and Seth
Seth
Rogen.
Rogen and his name is eluding me, but from Parks and Recreation.
Yep. How about this one? Springsteen, Deliver Me from Nowhere. I actually expected that to stick around in the box office. It's very hard to find theatrically, despite the fact that it had really good reviews from some of the critics.
Yeah, I mean, the main actor's performance was definitely one that garnered at least awards talk.
Hmm.
And then you think about how good biopics have done recently, and it seems like maybe they're on a downward trend, CP. Because you start looking at what was the other one? It was the Amy Winehouse one, didn't do so hot. This one's
Yep.
not doing so hot. I mean, they could be on the downward swing where it's kind of like, hey, I know the big one, they just released the trailer for it. They're doing a Michael Jackson one.
Hmm.
The only thing, like, what's interesting about that is with Michael Jackson, I wonder, are they going to explore the darker aspects, or is this just going to be a film that just celebrates Michael Jackson?
This is just going to be a movie that you love singing Michael Jackson music in the theater.
Yeah, that's the vibe I'm getting from the trailer is that like, yeah, they're probably going to be mentions of like, oh, his dad was, you know, I don't know, borderline abusive or whatever, but I don't get a vibe that they're going to like this is really going to dig deep into what made Michael Jackson tick. They're going to be
Yeah.
like, nope, it's just going to be his history album
We're just
all the way
singing
through the movie.
Thriller and Billie Jean.
Yeah, like we'll see him on the, set of Thriller or something.
Yeah. So other movies that underperformed in the month, just rounding out The Smashing Machine with The Rock. And remember, this is from A24. Normally A24 cleans up in the box office. Smashing Machine only made about 11 million for the month.
Well,
Again.
we talked about that a few box
Mm-hmm.
office breakdowns ago where we
Mm-hmm.
sort of mentioned that it was the Iron Claw that I think probably helped get this greenlit for broad distribution because it
Yeah.
could have been released limited, tested the market, and then you release it broader once you get sort of the green light on like, hey, this works. but I think they probably were a little overconfident after the Iron Claw last year. Um, that's just my take.
Yeah.
Because like you said, A24 normally has a pulse on their target audience and the box office.
Yeah.
So weird to see them misfire.
So, yeah, kind of a surprising, The Strangers Chapter 2, which again made like $8 million. Would have expected that to perform a little better given, the month of October, right?
Yeah.
And also, one of your favorite movies was re-released. You may not remember this, but Twilight came out
No, I
in
don't remember.
re-release.
Okay.
This
If
actually
you
was,
say
and I
so.
did not know, Avatar: The Way of Water.
Was re-released?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't
apparently
know that either.
beginning of October there was a re-release, and yeah, who knew? I didn't.
Well, I mean, we do have Wicked for Good, Zootopia 2, and Avatar Fire and Ash coming out during the holiday season. So I'm assuming Hollywood thinks that they can pick up or, make up some lost ground here and salvage the year of 2025.
Yeah, it just I'm not really sure. We'll have to dive more into this as we get a little further out. I don't know if it was just that the movies didn't resonate popularly because again, those movies you would think based on the trailers, based on the stars attached, would have had good performances, but most of them made about, 10 to 15 million dollars. They were in theaters for a little over a week and then they kind of faded away.
Yeah. And I think, you brought up at the top of the podcast that running through the end of the summer blockbuster season, I think 2025 was up almost 20 to 25% over 2024 at the same time,
Yep.
which is nuts. 20 to 25%. We're talking about like mega numbers here.
Yeah.
Because it's not like 2024 was just like this bust of a year. We're still post COVID and theaters are still struggling as they compete with streaming. So, I mean, you're talking 25%. That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, after October, it's down to 2% over
Jeez.
2024.
That's insane.
That's
One bad
nuts.
month really tanked the box office for the entire
That
year.
much. Yeah, you're like, I mean, think about people that were, hoping they were going to get like holiday bonuses and stuff. Now you're you didn't hit your marks.
Yeah, dude. No, it's
Shoot.
wild.
Yeah, probably pretty bummed. Um, I don't know. It's interesting, just to keep an eye on because as I mentioned, I think when you go back to that whole argument about like our theaters dying, I think we even talked about it a few months ago after the summer season on this podcast. We were clapping, we're like, oh my
Yep.
God, I'm so happy that people are going to the movies and the theaters are doing well. I want to see them do well. And to see it tank that hard, I guess, is just sort of disheartening for me personally, because I don't want movies to leave the theater. Like Ivor said, I'm excited. They're going to re-release Star Wars because I want to go to the theater. I could watch it any day, and I could
Yeah.
watch it many days. But you look back a week ago. Well, I mean, two of my favorite movies I went to this year were probably Jaws and Back to the Future.
True.
Re-releases. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I had so much fun at those movies, and I don't know what theaters got to do, man. I don't know if like it's what we talked about with like the Sphere and Cosm and sort of upgrading an experience that's unlike anything you can get at home, so you don't compete directly with streaming. I don't know what they got to do because I'm
Well, I
like,
don't know if that's a streamer thing. That the month of October feels like a studio thing. It feels like some of the movies that were greenlit were not marketed effectively, or just the hopes on them were way too high and they should have been like January dumps.
yeah, that's true. That is true. Maybe
I
it was just
mean, the
bad
case in
slate.
point is you put Keanu Reeves, Sydney Sweeney, The Rock, people who should have been box office draws and they totally underperformed. Why did they underperform?
Yeah.
You know?
Here's something I would like you to keep an eye on for the box office going into the holiday season. I don't know if you know this, but Stranger Things season 5 is coming out on Netflix.
Yes.
Do you know when it's dropping?
No.
It is dropping Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, and New Year's Eve.
So you mean they're trying to directly compete with the days people go to the movies?
Right. These are big days, big money days for the movies, like massive.
Yeah.
I'd be curious how Stranger Things affects the box office because it's incredibly popular. It's also coming directly from, streaming champ Netflix. And CP, keep an eye on this. I've heard in limited release, they are also putting out the finale in theaters, which is nuts because Netflix borderline refuses to ever put anything in the theaters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know if I'll keep an eye out. You keep an eye out. I'm curious if there's any articles that end up reflecting whether the holidays had a good box office, bad box office, and whether people thought Stranger Things played into that.
True. Interesting. Very interesting. That's
Because
something we're gonna have to watch for.
I'm not going to lie. Steph and I already talked about it. And after Thanksgiving's over, we're going to come back and watch Stranger Things. But you know what we normally do? Go to the movies.
Thanks. You're part of the problem, dude. You're
I
gonna kill the
know,
box
but
office.
I want to see Stranger
You're
Things. Yeah.
killing the box office, D man.
I'm saying, dude, I don't really care to see, Wicked for good. Um, Not my thing. If they put Star Wars, I'd pick that over Stranger Things. Even if it was new Star Wars. They just didn't pick for me. So Zootopia 2, not me. I highly doubt I'll even see that in theaters, even though Zootopia 1 was good. But
Never seen it.
anyway, keep an eye on it. Hopefully the holiday season rebounds. I'm curious to see if, Avatar Fire and Ash makes another $1 billion, how Wicked for Good does, because as a direct sequel, only a year later, you have to wonder if it's going to be bigger than the original. That's always the gamble you play.
Yeah.
If you're catering this movie to a very sort of specific audience, did it reach the masses at large? Doesn't sound like it for me.
Yeah. Interesting.
And then obviously we're going to do a recap episode for 2025. We'll see how the year rounded out. Did they beat 2024? And how was that holiday season? So
Interesting. Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. All right, D man. Well, we'll have to see. And we got to hope that November's better than October because October sucked.
yeah. Well, okay. Speaking of the movie slates and some of the stuff that's going on within Hollywood, another thing I wanted to bring up with you on Air CP is the battle for Warner Bros. Discovery.
Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. Oh man.
So, for our
Yeah.
listeners that don't know, obviously it's being put up for sale. Offers are being made. Um, People are trying to acquire. I don't know if it's all in one chunk or at least sections of it, but like they have the IP, they have HBO. I think is DC there.
Yep. It's on the chopping
DC's
block.
there. There's some network stations and all this. So it's kind of nuts when you think about the evolution of sort of the studios since the advent of streaming really took off beyond Netflix.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm going to read off to you some odds for who the Hollywood Reporter thinks will be buying Warner Bros. Discovery.
All right. Break it down.
So at the worst odds, we have some combo alluding to the fact that they'll just break it up and like 3 people will buy it. But that ideally, the people making the bids want it all for themselves. So those odds are at 8-1. Now, that's not horrible, right?
Yeah.
The overall worst odds are 25-1 for Apple.
Yes.
And the reason for that, I guess, is, well, they got to figure their AI shit out.
Well, and my understanding is apparently Apple has kind of very passively talked about it, but to my knowledge, they haven't put forth any sort of bid like some of the other companies have, right?
And it makes sense because Apple's generally forward thinking. They don't really make mega acquisitions the way some of these other tech companies do. They make usually middle to large acquisitions, but for like their very core business things like AI or, you know, Surrey, was like
Yeah.
acquired by them. So like things that they can integrate into their main product line. But even though Apple TV is one of their bigger products these days, it seems like that would be a huge swing just to acquire some IP. It just doesn't seem like that's what they've been interested in.
Yeah.
So next up, we have Sony at 15 to 1 odds. So Sony acquiring Warner Bros. Discovery, that would be quite an IP lineup.
Well, I think one of the failures of Sony as a brand is I don't know that it has truly monumental IP like some of the other legacy theater studios do.
Yeah.
So that would be a smart move. Um, Again, it's not the one that we're hearing a lot of conversation about.
Well, and what's interesting about Sony to me is like Sony doesn't have a streaming service.
Hmm.
So Warner Bros. Discovery has HBO Max. So like that would also position them actually in the streaming game if they were to do it, where right now, like they're not really
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
So, which is interesting because you and I have talked many times about, you know, whether it's better to own a streamer or to, license your IP out to streamers. And I
yeah.
think we've actually settled on like as uh enticing as it would be to own your own streaming platform, it's a lot of work and costs a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah.
And
You
if
make a
you
lot more
just
money licensing your own
yeah,
IP.
if you license it out, like you can essentially print money. It's like going back to Disney when they took their old classics out of the vault and just
Yep,
re-released them. They
yep.
just printed money, and you're like, I don't know. That's pretty
Yeah,
nuts.
I agree.
So next up at 12 to 1 odds is private equity, which really is only here, according to the Hollywood Reporter, just because they have so much cash to throw around.
Hmm.
Could just be some rich person's like, hey, this is valuable. Maybe they think they can resell it. Maybe they think they can sell it separately. But you can't rule out private equity. And, um, they would own a lot of IP.
Yeah,
So you could
yeah.
license it out. I mean, they could buy it, cancel, private equity could be like, listen, HBO Max,
Done.
gone.
Sell everything to Netflix and Disney
Yeah.
Plus and Hulu, and we're in the black.
Right. They're like, and we're just going to license it out. So
Yeah,
it could be that. Or, private equity is also known to dive in there and gut it. So they could go in,
also
take
true.
the only things that they find valuable and either flip those separately and just let the rest die.
Yeah.
Never know. Next up at 10 to 1 odds is Netflix. So what do you think about Netflix?
As a filmmaker, I really hope Netflix doesn't acquire Warner Brothers. And the only reason why is obviously for Netflix, this would be a great move. There's tons of legacy IP on the table. I think especially DC Comics would really be an asset for Netflix because think about all I mean, the cartoons, the shows, the movies they could be making based on that IP alone, like tons of content. Now, my issue as someone who loves to go to the movies is I think if Netflix gets their hands on Warner Brothers, the fact that Warner Brothers is so consistent about putting movies in the theater and leaning into theatrical release, that's done. And I think that's a shame.
Well, I think you're right. There is a little hesitancy, I think, both with owning a studio that does theater releases that just doesn't seem like they're interested in getting into that at all. They've almost doubled down on this concept of like streaming only.
Yeah.
And then they don't seem all that interested in the TV networks associated. I know Netflix has tinkered around. They've played around with some like live events. Right now, they have like
Yeah.
WWE Monday Night Raw. Like they do some live stuff. I think they did a boxing event and different things. But like, I don't know. I don't know if Netflix, what they would do with the TV
Yeah.
networks. I
No,
don't
I
know.
agree. I agree. It seems like a weird move. So,
All right, here we go. Top two, 5 to 1 odds, Comcast.
okay.
So here's an interesting thing, and I won't name number one yet, but it appears that Trump and his administration love the number one, and they don't like Comcast.
Well, there's a little bit of political history in terms of Comcast CEOs and corporate structure and Donald Trump.
Yeah. So
Notably, Comcast owned MSNBC when they were at war with President Trump during his first, um, you know, stint in office. So that's a little bit of a concern, you know.
well, and that's why when you get to number one, which at 2 to 1 odds is Paramount Skydance or Paramount. So you have CEO David Ellison, who just, you know, really came out and is like, I want Warner Bros. Discovery, but, you know, sort of made a big splash over here with Paramount. And I mean, what are you hearing about this? Because this is fascinating.
So the interesting thing is, I actually know there's another buyer on the table that you did not mention in the odds.
Mm, wow. Okay. You don't have to break it if there's any sort of
No, no, no,
confidentiality
no, no,
agreements, but
no, no. This has been publicly out there. This is Saudi Arabia with the Saudi,
no.
wealth fund. Apparently, so Saudi Arabia announced, 2 months ago, they brought a former exec, I think from Disney and Sony, and said they were going to be building a studio. If you recall, about a year ago, they invested billions of dollars into building studio infrastructure in Saudi Arabia, like
Okay.
actual backlots. Well, so they announced that they were going to be starting a studio, and then 2 months later, Warner Brother goes up for sale. And I heard that the Saudis have offered, I think, $80 million, or I'm sorry, that's chump change, $80 billion to
Damn.
acquire Warner Brothers. So I do know that is one of the officers out there. Now, let's talk about David Ellison and Skydance.
Okay.
David Ellison is a fascinating person. And I just say that because he has a vision for Hollywood.
Okay.
Now, the interesting thing is this. Remember, his father is the second wealthiest person on the planet.
Yeah. Alive.
Oracle's been printing money like nothing else over the last year and a half. And David Ellison seems to have a very clear vision for what he wants to do in Hollywood, which is interesting because while everyone else in Hollywood seems so terrified to take the next step regarding the future because they don't know what's going to happen, at least David Ellison is here saying, hey, I have ideas. I was on the Paramount lot in the beginning of October.
Okay.
I went to a special event, and Ellison talked about what was his vision for his newly acquired Paramount. And so there's a couple major things. For one, he said we're sticking to theatrical releases and we're going to
Oh,
prioritize them over streaming. So, for those of us that love movie theaters, David Ellison taking Warner Brothers is kind of a cool thing
well, we talked about that.
because we know
Netflix
he's
being,
pushing
yeah,
it.
being the opposite of that.
Now, the other thing for the LA film industry that we have to give credit to David Ellison for is he said, I am bringing production back to Los Angeles. I heard
Okay.
he's planning on shooting something like 18 to 25 movies a year on the Paramount lot alone.
Wow.
So that
That's
would be
awesome.
monumental for the film industry, which has been getting essentially the message, get out of here and go
The
elsewhere.
stinky boot.
Yeah, yeah. So those are both really great. Now, there are some concerns that I have personally as a filmmaker
Yeah.
with some of the some of David Ellison's moves. One of them is the fact that he said they're going to really try and integrate AI into the process of greenlighting films,
Hmm.
which seems weird and slightly terrifying.
I mean, it does, but then it's like, weirdly enough, they just had one of the worst months in 3 decades.
Yeah,
So it's like, hey, maybe AI could help here if the humans are just this far off base.
yeah.
I don't
Um,
know. I don't know.
I mean, the other thing that he really leaned into, and I thought that this was weird, he said, hey, we want to make a lot more what he was calling traditional content, you know, politically neutral, family centric content. He wants to resurrect some of the brands that, quite frankly, have kind of deteriorated over the last few decades that Paramount owns. Things like Nickelodeon.
Hmm,
And the
okay.
last thing that I thought was interesting and does make sense why he's looking at Warner Brothers is he said, "We, Skydance, do not believe that the cable television assets are truly declining in value at the rate that the rest of the industry does." So apparently they have some sort of plan for making
Okay.
television relevant.
Well, and then you combine all that with the Ellison family does have a great relationship with Donald Trump and the Trump administration. And that's why it's, I guess them or the Saudis at the very top of these odds.
Hmm.
So, and it's interesting too, because I know, like, when it comes to producing new content, you mentioned, sort of being politically neutral. And that's something we've heard across the board. And we've talked about it at various points, whether it's sports, whether it's the award shows, whether
Hmm.
it's actual content, people are sort of turned off by that, in your face messaging.
Yeah,
And that may be something that, he's onto something.
maybe.
So I don't know. That'll be fascinating to watch. I was kind of interested overall in what's going to happen because, we have Sony, we have Universal, kind of, but like, is like Disney like the last, major studio that just operates as a movie studio? I mean, I know Disney's a conglomerate when you go across all the boards, but like that's their bread and butter. It may not be like where they get all the money, but it's like where they get all the IP that they put on their cruise ships or in their
Hmm.
hotels or at the
Hmm.
theme
Hmm.
parks. That's how they merchandise. Like that's where it all comes from.
Yeah.
So, and I get it. Like, and they also own like, ESPN and ABC and all this different stuff. But it's just, I'm like, man, all these studios getting sold that fast after the introduction of streaming. It's pretty nuts.
Right? It's wild.
So, well, another thing we'll have to keep an eye on, probably just end up in the shout outs. I don't know if we'll have a whole topic unless David Ellison ends up winning the bid. Maybe he'll come on the podcast.
Oh, we could ask him. But
Be
hey,
like,
want to come
hey,
on this podcast, talk about, owning two movie studios? Most people don't ever own one, man.
I know. I'm like, that would be pretty incredible. But yeah, a lot of these, it's interesting just because they don't actually seem like good fits, but more, it's like, can we really just let it go to someone else kind of
Yeah.
scenario?
Yeah, right.
So there's only a couple where it seems like, yeah, that's somebody that wants it
I mean, it
for
would be
what it is.
interesting if you look at from the private equity perspective. Like, there are some people with a lot of money out there, and one of them could just wake up and say, "You know what? I'm going to make movies today."
Yeah, you could.
And just pick up Warner Brothers. Like, how wild would that be?
Well, and the irony is like it's not as far as like a gamble goes, it's not even like Elon Musk buying Twitter because you still would have the IP, you would have all like the networks. So like if you did it and then ended up being after like a year or two, you're like, I'm done making movies. You could always just sell it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like that would be okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's pretty interesting, but to our listeners, I would be curious if you guys um I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on what you would want to happen to Warner Bros. Discovery, because I know I'm an HBO Max subscriber. I watch all my DC stuff there, all my HBO Sopranos.
Yep.
So, I mean, it would definitely probably, depending on who buys it, affect my viewing habits.
I know, dude. It's wild.
So, kind of crazy.
Yep.
But all right. Before we move into our final topic and our list this week, really quickly, I wanted to touch on something that we brought up about a year ago, and they are at it again, CP, and that is Coca-Cola
Oh, Coca-Cola.
went
Trying
ahead
trying
and
out that new Coke thing again.
unfortunately, it's not New Coke, and they didn't learn their lesson because let's just call it what it is. New Coke got released, and they you know turncoat on that real quick. Went back to the old logo, the old nostalgia. They got rid of everything New Coke. Well, last year, Coca Cola came out with a AI Christmas ad which was very poorly received.
Yep.
And it was interesting because at the time, I think you and I had both,
Yep.
I think we talked about this on the podcast where we were like, I don't really get what they're doing here. Why is Coca-Cola the brand that's like, we're experimenting with AI?
Yeah, and I
And
remember after the backlash, corporate Coca-Cola made some public statement which seemed very out of touch, where essentially they said that Coca-Cola has always been a company on the edge of innovation and they wanted to keep pushing forward and, innovating. And I was like,
yeah,
well, I don't know that anyone thinks about Coca-Cola. You're not Google,
right.
right?
So it's weird because yeah, it's like here they are standing on, they're ready to die on this hill that like, hey, we're going to be the company that's pushing the AI ad, when most people don't associate, Coca-Cola with like artificial intelligence and big tech. They
Yep.
associate them with polar bears and Santa Claus and
And classic Americana.
yeah, McDonald's and
Yeah.
so I don't know, you see Coca-Cola signs everywhere. It's just weird that that's the hill they want to die on. Well, they're back again. I don't know if you got a chance to watch the ad. I did. And they released their Christmas ad 2.0. And this time they claim that they had many people like fact checking it and doing all this stuff to make sure that it wasn't the flop that the first one was. And it ends up everybody hates it again. So I don't know. It's kind of weird because I don't know if you saw this post, CP, but Dino Burbage on LinkedIn actually went ahead and took screenshots from the ad itself and then showed how the truck looks different in
In
each of
every
those.
shot. Yep.
Yeah. And so then more people are going through, this is all Coca-Cola swears this is all AI produced.
Yeah.
So then that people are saying like, oh, this tree moved or this chimney doesn't have a top. And like in a weird way, the ad's kind of successful because people are like having fun with it in
They're
that
watching it way
negative
more
way.
than they normally would have.
Yeah. And I don't know. I also, it's interesting because if we go back to last year, I think one of the things that you brought up was how neat it would have been if Coca-Cola had released an AI ad. And then when everybody's like, wow, this is horrible, because it may just be this natural negative reflex to AI, because, right, there's negative connotations with AI
Yep.
and taking people's jobs, fear. So, people naturally are like, this ad sucks. And then Coca-Cola could have made the ad for real and then been like, here's the real version.
Here's the
Merry
real ad.
Christmas.
Yep. And that would have been amazing. And everyone would love Coke.
Yeah. But they don't do that. And I'm reading this article. It's on like creativeblog.com. And it's just so weird because they have this line which I'm going to read and I'm like, it actually makes a lot of sense. Here it is. The only explanation people can think of is that Coca-Cola is running the campaign for rage engagement, but that seems bizarrely off-brand and particularly for a
Yeah.
Christmas ad.
That's not how Coca-Cola works, right?
Yeah, they're nostalgic. They're literally like Santa Claus drinking a Coke or
Yeah.
a parent polar bear giving a Coke to their cub.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking here. And this isn't a topic that I want to dive too deep on, CP. I just want to throw it out to the listeners. Have you guys seen this commercial yet? And first of all, did you check it out like I did, seeing it in an article, or did you actually see it like live on TV? And if you have or haven't, I'm just curious what your thoughts are on 100% AI generated ads. So, especially for a company and a brand like Coca-Cola, which can clearly afford to produce a real ad.
Yeah.
Because, like, I get it from a scale perspective. Like, if you're like, a one man internet ecom brand, you're like, I'm not going to go find a creative agency and pay them $50,000. You're like, no, I'll just get AI to do it. But you're not Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
So that was something, I don't know. I just wanted to throw out to the listeners. I know it's not movie related, but there's been this movie related threat of AI taking over people's jobs and basically taking over the film industry, the TV industry, the advertising industry, this giant fear. And here you have one of the biggest brands in the world embracing that.
Yep, that's true.
So let us know what you think, listeners. But back to the movies, CP. Let's go ahead and really quick. I just wanted to talk to you. I wanted to recognize, I guess we'll give a big shout out to none other than John Williams.
Yay!
So, John Williams, congratulations, because he has had a stage at the Hollywood Bowl named after him. And that's really incredible given that they've had a decades long relationship, especially of him performing there. I believe he performed there this year, even though he's in his 90s. And, he's probably the most iconic movie score guy amongst all of his accolades. He's done tons of stuff. So congrats to John Williams. But before we wrap up this episode, CP, I just wanted to.
Can I just, did you ever see on TikTok? There's a video with these two high school kids in like band
I have seen that video.
going to John Williams' house and playing the Star Wars theme out front.
Yeah, they go and they just play it on like a trombone and like a.
And they're just like playing on the street. And like John Williams walks out and like thanks them for playing for him.
That's so awesome.
What a cool old guy.
John Williams is amazing. And well, on that note, CP, I guess I wanted to do a top 3 list of John Williams scores that you would want to see live. So, like at the Hollywood Bowl. And the version that I'm going with of live is the actual score being played against the movie. So, not like, a mix.
Not
of
like a concert of just playing.
Right. Like all his,
music.
Scores mixed together, or even for that matter, you think like Star Wars and you're going to go like, mix up the themes from the entire saga. So like, you got to pick one.
I got it.
Okay. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I will happily go first. So we're going with 3.
3.
Okay.
Top 3 you'd want to see live while watching the movie.
Okay. So, see, the problem is you and I are probably going to have the same 3 movies. So, that's okay. Number 3 for me, Indiana Jones.
I love that pick because everybody hums that score and that theme is iconic.
Oh, shoot. All right, let me start over. I do have an honorable mention, and I totally forgot to mention it.
Okay.
Honorable mention. All right. We're just going to cut this out. So, okay. Honorable mention. Superman.
Oh,
the original Dick Donner Superman movie.
Nice.
I mean, that is such an iconic Hollywood score, and they do belt it out multiple times throughout the movie. I think it would be a lot of fun to watch that play on the big screen.
I mean, it was one of the highlights of the new Superman movie that they incorporated that theme into the new theme. And I also personally have never seen that movie on the big screen. So that would be pretty neat.
I have seen it on the big screen. It's awesome. So that would be my honorable mention. So number 3, Indiana Jones, specifically Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It's got to be Raiders. Yeah.
Great score. I mean, everybody loves watching it. And I mean, it's one of the most iconic John Williams themes out there.
Yep.
Number 2, Jurassic Park. I mean,
yeah.
I just, can you imagine how amazing it would be the second that the Brontosaurus walks on to screen and the whole orchestra just belts out the Jurassic Park theme?
I hope I do get to see it, even if it's not John Williams conducting it, which that would be the best. But even if it's not, I would love for that to happen at some point in my life.
And number 1, I'm going with The Empire Strikes Back. Now, I'm going with The Empire Strikes Back because if you remember a few years ago, I went to Star Wars in concert with John Williams, where they live performed
Return of the Jedi.
No, original Star Wars.
Oh, that's the best. That's the dream.
So I got to see that one. So I would vote for, Empire Strikes Back would be what I'd want to see.
Nice. Well, for my most iconic scores, we were not as close as you would think.
Really? Okay.
Yes. So my honorable mention went to Jurassic Park. And
Oh,
sadly, Indiana Jones didn't make it.
wow. Okay. All right.
So, okay. Number three is actually going to be E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Well, I can't watch that movie. It's too scary.
I love both the movie and the score, and I think it would be so delightful, just so magical to see that performed live. Now, number two is probably a little interesting, CP. I don't know. Like, part of me thinks there's no way you could ever put this over Jurassic Park. But again, it just seems so magical. And that's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's
Oh,
Stone.
dude.
I think that would be a ton of fun to see come to life at night at like the Hollywood Bowl, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, dude.
So
Do-do-do-do-do.
this is where things get nuts because you're never going to believe this.
Did you
But
put
my
Home Alone as
number
number
one
one?
is Home Alone.
Oh my gosh. D-man.
So it's Christmas time. I want to watch Home Alone. And that would be hands down the. Okay. So, first of all, I want to say I totally lied.
Do I even know you?
My actual top three were all just Star Wars movies.
Oh,
It's
okay. Okay.
three Phantom Menace, two Empire Strikes Back, and one Star Wars A New
Okay.
Hope.
Okay. Okay. I was like, D-man, like, who are you?
But assuming I'm not going to pick all Star Wars movies, I did want to give huge shout outs to my favorite scores from John Williams, which they are so much fun. But really, the magic of Christmas, I can imagine there being Christmas trees on the stage, and I don't know if they would have like LED light shows, but yeah, seeing Home Alone performed live to that movie would be absolutely stunning.
Yeah, that would be fun.
So that was fun. Obviously, no. I mean, my top six are probably just the original Star Wars, George Lucas saga. But after that, I mean, there's just so many good ones.
Dude, that's wild, man.
I know. I'm not going to pick Jaws. I feel like I love Jaws' theme, but for the whole movie, that's probably not one that I'd be like, oh, I need to see that performed live. But like Harry Potter for sure, Jurassic Park, like you said, when you see the Brontosaurus or they arrive at in the helicopter to the island.
Mhm.
Even the crescendo at the end where like the T-Rex comes back and gets the raptors.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, it would be so awesome. I wish he was younger or I was younger. I wish we were both younger so I could go.
Oh, man.
But
Yeah,
congrats to
it's-
John Williams.
Dude, how insane. What an amazing career. He's made such a mark on cinema. And he is coming out of retirement to do one final movie, and I think that's awesome.
For Spielberg,
Yep.
that's gotta be. That's his longtime greatest collaborator. Yeah.
Yeah.
So ironically, a couple Chris Columbus themes in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out to that guy. But all right, CP. Well, that actually does it for our episode this week. So it was a little bit of a different format. Listeners, let us know if you enjoyed it. We were kind of catching up, I think, because the last two episodes, that Halloween special and then talking about Back to the Future, were very, very specific to what we were doing on that episode. So there was a lot of box office and movie news that I think we just wanted to catch up on. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the discussion, and be sure to keep it going. You can follow the show at filmmakerscompass.com or on Instagram at FilmCompPod or at FilmCompPodcast. And you can follow me at Big Kid D-Man. CP?
You can follow me at NDCal5. Thank you for hanging out and talking movies with us. We will see you back here next week. And until then, keep watching movies.